lot of Buckeyes all in one room, especially here in Washington. When I travel, I sometimes throw on my OSU shell. My security detail bought me this shell when I was up there for an Ohio State football game. It happened to be my birthday about, 5.5 years ago or so. And so, I'll run into people all over the country, and they'll see my shell, and they'll go, OH. Hell, my security detail gets all nervous about it, right? But the sense of pride shows why Ohio State is Ohio's flagship school, and it's also why I'm honored to be the commencement speaker at OSU here in a couple of weeks. It'll probably be the shortest commencement address you've ever heard. I'm a big believer in standing up, saying something, and sitting down to begin with. But at commencement, nobody wants to hear the damn commencement speaker speak. So why don't you stand up, make 3 points, sit down. So I'll just give you a glimpse of what I'm likely to do. I'm sure many of you have heard about me and know my story. I've got 11 brothers and sisters. My dad owned a bar. I grew up there, mopping floors, doing dishes, waiting tables. And the reason I tell that story is that all the lessons I learned growing up are the lessons I need to do my job every day. You grew up in a big family, have to learn to get along with each other, get things done together, get things done as a family. You grew up around a bar, and I started working there when I was 10, and, mopping floors all day. I worked all day for $2. I remember I got a raise to $5. Yeah, I know for some of you, think this is per day, not per hour, right? One of the things working on a bar you have to learn to do is you got to learn to deal with every character that walks in the door. So when I say, trust me, all the skills I learned growing up are the skills I need to do my job today, it's a true statement. I'm asked to talk about leading in difficult times. I don't think leading in easy times is any different than leading in difficult times. But one of the things I think is really important about leading is listening and humility. I used to be a salesman, and people think that the people who sell have to be good talkers. Well, I would argue that the most important attribute of a successful salesman is the ability to listen. And if you're not listening to what the potential buyer is saying, you have no idea how to circumvent the route in order to get that person to buy. And so I think listening is one of the most important attributes when it comes to leading. Because if you're not listening to people, you are not going to hear what those people who've elected you to do. You're not going to hear what they're saying. And a leader without followers is simply a man taking a walk. I also remind my colleagues that it is not about us. It's about the American people. It's about their agenda. I've watched a lot of people in Washington over the years that I've been here who thought it was about them. And you can probably imagine some of these people, they ran off the track pretty quickly because they did think it was about them. Maybe it's just me, but it's never going to be about me. Speaking of listening, last year we had our America Speaking Out project. A big project to listen to the American people, set up a big website, did events all over the country. Colleagues did events, trying to listen to the American people about what they thought our agenda should be. And through this, there were millions of entries and ideas about what they thought our agenda should be. And at the end of the day, it boiled down to 5 things. They want us to work on the economy and jobs. They wanted us to deal with the deficit and the debt and the spending problem that was going on here. Wanted us to deal with health care in a different way than had been done. They wanted us to reform the way Congress did its job. They wanted us to make sure that we were going to continue to be strong on national defense. And it was out of that America Speaking Out project that we rolled out our path to prosperity, if you will. So another thing that I've learned along the way that is really helping me in this difficult period is changing the way Congress does its job. I've watched this place operate for 20 years, and it got more closed, more closed, more closed, more closed, to the point where in the last couple of years, about 5 people would decide what the beginning and end of the bill was going to look like. Same 5 people, by the way. And while 430 of us sat on the sidelines, I saw the committee process be circumvented on a not routine, literally almost on a daily basis. And not only were the members of the minority frustrated, but many members of the majority were frustrated. And one of the things I believe in, and that's to be inclusive. I tend to be a consensus builder. You know, you can lead through consensus, build consensus, and then move. And one way to help build a consensus is to allow the 435 members of the House to work their will. And, some days they're going to do something, that I'm not going to agree with. But so be it. 95% of the time, I think I'm going to agree with what the floor is doing. But it takes all of the steam out of the pressure cooker. It allows all members, both sides of the aisle, to participate. And as a result, people get a chance to be heard. They may not win. They could be frustrated because they didn't win. But at least they'll have had their opportunity to be heard. And I think, frankly, if I look back over just this first 5 months, I've got as good a relationships with the Democrats as I do with the Republicans. Some days I have a better relationship with the Democrats than I have with the Republicans. But it's all about giving everybody their shot and rebuilding the institution, which, frankly, is my number one goal. The lesson that my parents taught me, I taught my kids, and I tell my colleagues, at least once a month. You do the right things for the right reasons, good things will happen. And, right now we're faced with some pretty difficult things. And a lot of people want to take the shortcut. They want to kick the can down the road. We got this big budget problem. We got $14.3 trillion worth of debt, a budget deficit this year of $1.5 trillion. 42 cents out of every dollar we spend this year, we have to go borrow, most of it from the Chinese. And most Americans look up and go, this is crazy. Well, it is crazy. But I've watched for the 20 years I've been here, I've watched the leaders who've come before me look up at this problem, and it was as if they were looking up at a mountain. They see how tall it was, and they see how steep it was, and then they go, well, we'll just kick this can down the road another year. They've been kicking this can down the road for a long time. And I just, big believer that it's time to deal with the problems that we're confronted with. I told the president, Mr. President, forget about the next election. I've already forgotten about it. It's time to do the right thing for the country. And if we do, it'll help you, and frankly, it'll help us. I told the president, I said, here, come on, lock arms. You and me will jump out of the boat together. Well, I haven't quite gotten him there yet, but he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to jump out of the boat with me, whether he likes it or not. But again, so for me, some of these big decisions that I'm supposed to be making, they're not hard decisions. It's just about doing the right things for the right reasons. It kind of reminds me of something that I said to Nancy Pelosi when I handed her the gavel in 2007, when she became the first female speaker. I said, the value of a majority lies not in the chance to wield great power, but in the chance to use limited power to do great things. I think I'll repeat it again when I got the gavel in January. It's a great institution. We don't have tremendous powers, but there are big things that we can do. I had a meeting yesterday with some of our Republican leaders in both chambers and about the fight that we're in. And I know some of them probably in that room are looking at me thinking, oh my God, Boehner's out of his mind. You know, he's shooting for the moon. Well, you know what? If you don't shoot for the moon, you're never going to get there. And yeah, I've got big ideas about what I want to accomplish in this fight over the debt ceiling. But I think this is the moment of opportunity to get it done. You know, if I had to sum up all of this, and in one word or one phrase, I would describe it as servant leadership. I do office retreats every year, and you know, I guess about 15 years ago, we decided we got something special here, and we try to put on paper how we work together. So we decided that we would list principles by which we work with each other, and principles by which we work with people outside the office. And, you know, we have things like courage. We have things like honesty. I went through a whole bunch of words. But about 6-7 years ago, we decided to add the phrase servant leadership. Why? Because we wanted to show people we were leading by serving, and leading with humility. And so it's another reason I tell my story. Yeah, I grew up in a big family. My dad owned a bar. But I was a small business guy. And I still look at myself as a small business guy who stumbled into this political arena. I mean, I got involved in my neighborhood homeowners association 43 years ago, and almost 44 years ago, and thought, at one point, I became the president of homeowners group in 1980 and thought I'd get more involved in our growing community north of Cincinnati. They thought it was a great idea. Said, go ahead. And, you know, as out of that, you know, one comment and went to a few school board meetings and township trustee meetings, I ended up running for township trustee. I knew nothing about what I was doing. But this is the last thing I ever thought I'd be doing. But I've always believed that no matter what your background, what your vocation, for that matter, even what your skills are, everyone can serve, and everyone can bring something to the table. And I think John Glenn put it better than I could ever say it when he said this. He said, if there's one thing I've learned in my years on this planet, it's that the happiest, the most fulfilled people I've known are those who've devoted themselves to something bigger and more profound than merely their own self-interest. I think he's got it exactly right. I think that's why the John Glenn School's been so successful. See, they give me these awards so you can all see me tear up. But I'm humbled to be recognized by the Institute, an institute that's dedicated to John Glenn's legacy. So thank you all for having me, and thank you very much for the award. I appreciate it.